Satellite. So today we are going to wonder about satellites and rockets. Okay. So first of all, we look about satellites. We get to know about satellites. Okay. So satellites are star-like objects that move very fast. Okay. Satellites move faster than the planets. Okay. So when you observe from the Earth, you can observe the satellites as star-like objects, okay? But they do not blink. When you observe the night sky, when you compare the other stars with the satellite star won't blink. Okay, so with that you can identify, right, that is a satellite. Okay, the star which does not blink is a satellite in the night sky. Okay, right. They travel in the region beyond the Earth's atmosphere. Okay, so I can show you here in the background. Can you all see the picture in the background? This is the Earth. Okay, above the Earth you get the atmosphere. Okay, so beyond this region, beyond the atmosphere, you can observe the satellites. Okay, the satellites are revolving the Earth beyond the atmosphere. Okay, so atmosphere above the Earth's surface gradually becomes thinner. So when you go up and up, the atmospheric layer becomes thinner. Here, see, it is thick here, and when you go up and up, it becomes thinner. Okay, so the region beyond the Earth's atmosphere is called what? Outer space. So you call this region as outer space. Okay, the region beyond the Earth's atmosphere. Okay, that is called outer space. Right. Now, we'll look about the uses of satellites. Why are we using these satellites? The first one, mainly to collect information about the weather. Okay, so you can collect day-to-day weather using these satellites. Okay, and also you can get to know more about the planets. More and more information about the planets. Since the satellites are revolving around the Earth, satellites capture the pictures of other planets in the space. Not only these planets, other objects also. You can know the details about other objects in the space. Okay? The happenings from around the world. So all the happenings you can get to know from the Earth using these satellites. Okay? So satellites transmit the information to the Earth. Satellites dish. There is a dish, right? You see, there is a dish which capture the signals from satellites. Okay, so this is, look at the shape of the dish. It is aerial shaped like dish. Okay, this receives the signals transmitted by satellites revolving around the Earth. Okay, so satellites, they always revolve around the Earth very fastly. They capture pictures, they transmit the information through signals, and this kind of dish, satellite dishes, receive all the signals from the satellites. Okay.
Okay, teacher.
Right. So here, see, this is, we have already learned this. So these are the examples of satellites that orbit the Earth. You all know the natural satellite is what? The moon, right? Other than that, artificial satellites are there sent by man. Sputnik 1, Explorer 2, Vanguard 1, Luna 2, Salyut 4, Voyager, Sputnik 2, Explorer 3, Sputnik 3, Pioneer 5, Zeus, Delta, Explorer 1, Pioneer 3, Skylab, Viking. Okay, so there are several artificial satellites revolving around the Earth. Okay, right. Here, see. Watch this video, how we are getting the signals from satellite. Okay, here, see.
We live our lives knowing that many satellites orbit our planet every day, and temperature variations and from solar radiation. We hope that you have gained a good insight into different types of satellites and how they work from this video. Please support our educational service by clicking the support button.
Okay, children. That is more about satellites. Okay. So just know how the satellites are revolving around the Earth and know few of the names of satellites, artificial satellites around the Earth, orbiting the Earth. Okay, children. Right.
Teacher, even now, with satellite only we are in the Zoom app, no teacher.
Yes. Yes. Okay. We'll move to rockets. Please think of mute your mics. Rockets travel at very high speed than satellites. Even faster than satellites, rockets can move. Okay, rockets can move very high speed than satellites in the space. Okay, so Apollo 2 was the first rocket to reach the moon's atmosphere. So children, there are many rockets sent to the space by man. Okay, out of the rockets, out of those, the first rocket was what? Apollo 2, which reached the moon's atmosphere. Okay, Apollo 2 was the first rocket to reach the moon's atmosphere. Know this, children. Rockets do transmit information. Okay. You all know rockets. What do they carry inside the chambers? Rockets, what do they carry inside the chambers? They carry astronauts and satellites. Okay. Rockets carry astronauts and satellites inside the chambers mainly. Okay. So when we send a rocket from the Earth to the space, the rockets reach the space and releases the satellites. Okay, rocket reaches the space and releases the satellites into the space. Okay, after that the satellites will be fixed in the Earth's beyond the Earth's atmosphere, and it will start to transmit information. Okay, as well as astronauts can also travel in rockets, and they will reach the required planet using these rockets. Okay, so astronauts go by rockets into the space. Likewise, Neil Armstrong also reached the moon's surface by Apollo 2. Okay, Apollo 2 was the rocket used by Neil Armstrong to step on the moon for the first time. Do you all know him? Neil Armstrong.
Yes, teacher.
Yes, okay. He was the first person to land on the moon, and he used Apollo 2 rocket to land on the moon for the first time. Right. Here, see how a rocket is launched from the Earth.
The ground begins to tremble. 3. Massive engines roar to 2. Billowing clouds of exhaust. 1. And in blinding pillar of fire, a mighty Voyager leaves the Earth behind to explore the vast universe among the stars. Launching a rocket into space is one of humankind's crowning achievements. Although they come in many different shapes and sizes, all rockets are propelled by engines that produce thrust. The rockets that launch into space are made up of 4 major systems based on function. The structural system makes up the frame that holds a rocket together and consists of the cylindrical body, nose cone, and fins. Next, the propulsion system takes up the most amount of space and includes the rocket engine, fuel, and oxidizer. The payload system depends on each mission and consists of anything a rocket is carrying into space, like a spacecraft, satellite, or human being. Lastly, The guidance system is made up of radars and computers that provide stability for the rocket and control maneuvers in flight.
Okay?
In order to launch into space, all 4 of these rocket systems must work together to overcome the force of gravity. The launch begins when the rocket's propulsion system starts to generate a massive amount of thrust. Thrust is the force produced by burning fuel as exhaust gases escape through the engine. Once the rocket generates more thrust than its own weight, it lifts into the air to begin its powered ascent. During this phase of the flight, the weight of the rocket will constantly change as fuel continues to burn off. As a result, most space-bound rockets use a technique called staging to reduce dead weight and increase efficiency. The method involves breaking up a large rocket into 2 or 3 smaller rockets that fall away at different stages of the launch. As the rocket continues into orbit, its sophisticated guidance system maintains balance and steers to keep the flight trajectory on track. At the correct altitude and speed, the upper stage engine cuts off, completing the rocket's journey from Earth's surface into orbit. Long before blasting into space, rockets were used here on Earth as early as the 13th century. The first known rockets were introduced by the Chinese in 1232 AD. These fire arrows were used to fight against invading armies and were made by attaching fireworks packed with gunpowder to long arrows. By the 16th century, the use of rockets for amusement had spread from Asia to Europe, where they gained popularity in elaborate firework displays at celebrations and festivities. During the following centuries, the work of scientists like Isaac Newton and his laws of motion began to greatly increase knowledge into the forces behind rocketry and how to control them. And by the end of the 18th century, military forces around the world began to apply these new scientific understandings to the battlefield, transforming the earlier crude rockets into powerful weapons of war. However, the true dawn of space rocketry began in the early 20th century, thanks to massive technological improvements in rocket science and aeronautics. By the 1950s, the stage was set for the modern space age, and development began on sophisticated launch vehicle systems like the Atlas rocket family, which launched America's first astronaut into orbit, the Titan rockets, which were behind the pivotal Gemini missions during the space race, and the Saturn rocket family, which includes the largest and most powerful rocket ever successfully launched, the mighty Saturn V. Standing as high as a 36-story building and weighing more than 3,000 tons, this behemoth was used to launch the Apollo missions to the moon.
We choose to go to the moon not because they are easy, but because they are hard.
Since the beginning of human history, adventurers have looked to the skies and dreamt of touching the stars. And today, innovations in rocketry are opening up possibilities to launch astronauts farther into space than ever before. Whether our sights are set on the moon, Mars, or beyond, the future of rocketry and space exploration is only just blasting off.
Okay, children, did you all understand this one?
Yes, teacher.
Did you wonder how rockets are
Yes, ma'am.
launched? Did you wonder how rockets are launched nicely?
Yes,
Amazing.
yes, ma'am.
Amazing. Okay. So, as actually the astronauts, the scientists, okay, those who are in the NASA, okay, they work very hard, really very hard to launch rockets and send satellites to the space, isn't it? By watching the video, we can understand how hard it is to do all these, right? Okay, so it is not as simple as we see in the video. Okay, right. So those are all about rockets and satellites. Okay, so here the first landing on the moon. Can you all see who is this person behind this? And the letter
Neil Armstrong.
yes, he is Neil Armstrong. Okay, and he has fixed American flag in the on the moon. Okay, so please mute your mic, children. Right. So this is the of Neil Armstrong on the moon. Yes, he landed. Who's talking?
US President
Who's talking? So, right. So, when did he land on the moon? Neil Armstrong, when did he land on the moon, children? On July 20th, 1969. Okay, see, 1969, almost how many years? 53 years, right? Almost 53 years back, he has landed on moon. Okay, so on July 20th, 1969, at 10:56 p.m. at night, American astronaut Neil Armstrong landed on the moon. Okay, so the moon is about 240,000 miles from Earth, isn't it, children? So the landing module is a yes. Okay, so from the moon, when he landed on the moon, what did he do is he gave a brief statement before stepping off the Eagle landing module. Okay, so he came out of the Eagle landing module. Then only he stepped on the moon. Okay, there was a chamber called Eagle landing module inside the rocket. Okay, that is the name of a chamber. Okay, so before landing on the moon, before stepping out of the Eagle landing module, he gave a brief statement. Okay, he gave a brief statement about the moon and how he was landing on the moon. Okay, so these people from the Earth, the astronauts, the scientists in NASA company were noticing, they were observing what is really happening on the moon. Okay, they were recording everything. Okay, how he is landing on the moon. Okay, what is really happening. Okay, so how is the rocket is reaching the surface of the moon. Everything were observed by the people on Earth. Okay, lively they observed how he was landing on the moon. Okay, so the landing module. So I told you about the landing module, right? So what is landing module is a separate chamber. As I told you, it is a separate chamber inside the rocket. Okay, that is prepared to take astronauts from the rocket. Okay, so inside this chamber, inside the landing module only, these astronauts are taken from the rocket. Okay, taken from the rocket to the surface of the moon. Okay, understood, children? So inside the rocket, there is a chamber called landing module. Okay, so inside the landing module only, these astronauts are taken, right? So Neil Armstrong landed from this landing module, and his landing module was named as Eagle landing module. Okay, his landing module was what? Eagle landing module. Okay, it is a chamber inside the rocket. Just know it. Okay, the name of the chamber inside the rocket where Neil Armstrong stayed was Eagle landing module. Okay, so he came out of the Eagle landing module and stepped his first foot on the land. Okay, so not only him, with him another person joined. Who was that? Another astronaut, Edwin Buzz.
Edwin Buzz.
Yes, Edwin Buzz joined him a few minutes later. So first of all, out of the Eagle landing module, Neil Armstrong stepped on the moon. Okay, after a few minutes later, astronaut Edwin Buzz, he came out of the Eagle landing module. Okay, and landed on the moon, right? So both of them together, they planted United States flag. Here, see at the background, you can see, right? The United States flag was planted by Edwin and Neil Armstrong. Okay. So after planting, what did they do? They did some scientific tests. Okay. So
They called to president.
yes, a call to president, and also before that they did few simple scientific tests on the moon. Okay, after that they spoke with U.S. president. That time U.S. president was Richard M. Nixon. Okay, so nicely they were staying or landing on the moon and speaking with U.S. President Richard N. Nixon. Okay, so by early the next morning, both astronauts, what did they do? They were back in the lunar module. Okay, so after enjoying on the surface of the moon, they slept at night on the surface of the moon. Okay, after doing all those, after they had a lot of enjoyment and they had a scientific tests. Okay, they did many researches on the moon, and after that they safely got into the chamber back. Okay, Eagle landing module back. Okay, and they safely reached the moon, and what happened? Safely the rocket splashed down in the Pacific Ocean. Okay, so they landed inside the Pacific Ocean, so they safely reached the Earth. Understood? Right? So
Yes, teacher.
what
Yes, ma'am.
what Neil Armstrong told was, okay, after coming to the Earth, okay, what did he tell? Here men from the planet Earth first set foot on the moon. Here men from the planet Earth first set foot on
Neil Armstrong.
yes, July 1969 AD. We came in peace for all mankind. So these are the words said by Neil Armstrong after coming from the moon. Okay, after the success journey, he told these words to the people. Here, men from the planet Earth first set foot on the moon. July 1969. We came in peace for
Miss
all
Hamza.
mankind.
Winner.
So these
The
were the
first land on the moon. Miss.
right. Okay, understood?
Understood.
Yes.
Yes, ma'am.
Right. Here, see.
Understood.
Watch this. Watch this. Here, Neil Armstrong and Edwin. Did you see that, children? How they safely landed on the Earth here on Pacific Ocean, right?
Miss, we have 2 ENV periods.
How proud we all are of what you
We have 2.
This has to
Will
be
you
the
please
proudest day of our
silently
lives.
watch this
And
video?
for people all
Rishi?
over the world, I'm sure they too join with us in recognizing what an immense feat this is.
It was interesting, right, children? How they landed on the moon and how they reached. They splashed into Pacific Ocean. Okay, when they reached the Earth, they splashed into Pacific Ocean. Then only they were safely reached the land. Okay, children, understood?
Yes, miss. Understood, ma'am. Yes.
Clear for y'all? Is it clear?
Clear, ma'am.
Okay.
Clear, ma'am.
Interested? Are y'all interested? So after this, you all have to
Yes,
copy down the notes. Okay, I'll be sending you the PDF
Okay,
file.
ma'am.
You all have to copy down the notes. Okay, children. Bye. God bless you.